During my interview at the college, one of the panel asked me, why Medicine Hat? I mean, I can see why someone like you would be excited about Edmonton or Calgary, but why Medicine Hat? Good question. When I first visited Medicine Hat over 7 years ago, the first thing I said to the woman who would soon be my wife was, we've got to get you out of here. What's strange is that when I moved to Edmonton, the cultural capital of Canada, in 2007, everyone I met there asked me a similar question. Why Edmonton? This was understandable because I'd moved from Oregon, and who in their right mind would leave Oregon to experience a minus 58.4 degree wind chill on the coldest inhabited place on planet Earth? But the longer answer goes back to my first desire. As a child, I wanted things, but a desire is deeper, stronger, something you organize your life around, and my first desire was about place, or rather to get out of a place. I wanted out of Bay City, Michigan, away from my boyhood home on the corner of Cass and Jefferson, across from Jim's Bar. Bay City sits at the mouth of the Saginaw River, a shipping town, and on the banks of the river was American Hoist, which closed down when I was 6, putting my father out of work. My grandfather couldn't eat the fish he caught from the river, and the Saginaw River is still listed as a Superfund site by the Environmental Protection Agency. I wanted out of this environmental and economic catastrophe. See, I'm a post-industrial Rust Belt baby, and when I hopped on the bus to move to Seattle after graduating from college, my teary-eyed mom said, I wish you wouldn't go, but there's nothing for you here. And when I left Michigan, I wasn't alone. 1,800 families a month were leaving when Michael Moore's Roger and Me came out in '89, and Detroit is still dealing with the exodus. Thus began my quest for home, my wanderlust, my personal diaspora. Go west, young man, go west. So I hopped on a bus with $500 in a backpack and headed out to Seattle, where I worked with homeless people and lived pretty close to the edge myself. It was the grunge years, after all, and a great way to spend my early 20s. But tiring commutes and longing took me to Oregon. Oregon, my Oregon. Some people lose their hearts in San Francisco, and for some, New York is their kind of town. But Oregon, you're unrivaled. On the coast on a rainy, cloudy day, I encourage you to try and count the shades of green or gray. It simply cannot be done. From coastal sand dunes to the Cascades to Portland's never-ending supply of surprises, your wine, roses, and rhododendrons, your insanely cheap and delicious late-night happy hours, your beaches, and the award-winning ale waiting for you at the base of Cape Kiwanda in Pacific City, where I want my ashes spread as a coastal storm blows in. Oh, Oregon, I do miss you. But I left Oregon for Edmonton because it gave me a chance to be with the love of my life, or rather, the loves of my life. And moving to Medicine Hat for me is part of a larger love story. I hide it pretty well, but I'm a romantic to the core, and I'm here because I followed my heart to the wild and lonesome prairies. Shortly after moving to Edmonton, I became friends with a guy named Don. And at lunch one day I said, I have yet to meet anyone who has the civic chauvinism that I've seen in other places like New York City, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland. I've yet to meet anyone who believes that Edmonton is the best city on earth. Don simply said, now you have. And I didn't believe him at first. After all, he was a politician. But he had big dreams for the people of his community, and he still does. He's now their mayor. And we should all have big dreams for our community. In every community I've lived in, I've shared that dream, whether it was working to end the cycle of homelessness, volunteering at Habitat, or building strong childhood literacy experiences so every child has a chance. Recently, I've been learning about appreciative inquiry, and appreciative inquiry starts with a focus on our strengths, a focus on what we have, not on our flaws, our faults, our limitations. It believes that there's a lot of overlooked strengths and that there's more to be gained on looking at what's there than what isn't there. So see your strengths, Medicine Hat. Over the last 7 years, something interesting has happened. Medicine Hat has been our vacation destination, and I've fallen in love. So why Medicine Hat? First and foremost, she's gorgeous, drop-dead gorgeous. The coulees, prairies, her golden leaves in autumn. Coming here from Edmonton for Easter or Thanksgiving was like going to an all-inclusive in the tropics. There's a saying that comparisons are odious, and I want to praise Medicine Hat on her own terms, but sometimes you can only see a strength in relation. There's this Rilke poem that goes, Lord, the great cities are lost and rotting. Their time is running out. The people there live harsh and heavy, crowded together, weary of their own routines. I always thought that meant somebody else, but in Edmonton, it was starting to mean me. On the train, I was crowded together after a windy, -30-degree walk to the LRT. Like Ishmael and Moby Dick, a damp, drizzly November had grown in my soul, and it took a strong moral principle to prevent me from pushing people off the train. Civil inattention was driving me mad. I'd grow grim around the mouth, and I needed to take ship to Medicine Hat. So here's what I love about Medicine Hat. You can go to Costco, shop, and get your tires rotated and get back to your house within an hour. Sometimes in Edmonton, it would take us 20 minutes just to get past the LRT lights located 3 blocks from our house. And when I get fed up with the hustle and bustle of the big city of Medicine Hat, I can be at Elkwater canoeing with my son in less than an hour, or stop in at the Zucchini Blossom for a rodeo panini after a Police Point walk for some soul sustenance. The grass may not be greener here. There are prairie fires after all, but I embrace the pace and not the race. There's an eerie feeling I get sometimes in the Hat when I feel like I've gone back in time. But sometimes it's nice to hold back and wait for the right opportunity. And Medicine Hat is actually at a place where it can emulate the successes and avoid the false steps of other cities. We say we learn from our mistakes, but really, I'd rather learn from somebody else's. So don't waste a second. I know it's easier said than done, but when I ride my bike by the Hillside Cemetery every morning, it's a good reminder that life is like a PechaKucha presentation. It's short, and there's so much to say and see and experience. And with technology, we live in a state of continuous partial attention. But stop. It's good to be here with you in this beautiful place we call the Hat. So let's be inspired by the spirit of the past and become pioneers of a new age. If God gives you lemons, make lemonade. If he gives you all hell for a basement clay and a train, make the finest pottery in the world, and then make a gorgeous museum when globalization displaces you. And this is the essence of Medicine Hat, the place I now lovingly call home.